Hello, welcome to 1983 on the Time Warp, or PSTW as we like to call it to be called, hashtag PSTW. This is Limahl from Kajagoogoo. Let's go back in the Time Warp to 1983. What a year for you, because I remember being at the British Rock and Pop Awards that year, which was the forerunner to the Brit Awards, and you won an award. You were like Best New Band, weren't you?
It was huge, and everybody thought we were an overnight success, but of course it was, for me, it was the culmination of 7 years' work. The Theatre Darling and the in and out of bands. I was sacked from another band as well before Kajagoogoo.
I didn't know.
I was in a band, well, you should know this because this is important pop trivia.
It is, but I'm learning.
I was in another band with Mike Nolan from Bucks Fizz.
Were you?
Yeah, and we were called Brooks. And we were managed by Frere Miller, who went on to manage Shakin' Stevens, but had managed the New Seekers from the 70s. So big things were planned. But I went home for my brother's wedding and I didn't learn my harmony, and when I got back they fired me to set an example. Wow. And then I turned up at this audition for a band called Art Nouveau, who became Kajagoogoo. All that work culminated in Too Shy being released in January '83, and we were the new kids on the block for a couple of years. The royalties are still flowing in for me from that very short period. I feel incredibly blessed, and as a consequence,
You're loaded.
I'm very happy. I was interviewed by the News of the World, who asked me what is the most bizarre thing that you've been sent by a fan.
And it was?
And it was a toenail.
A toenail?
Yeah, this girl wrote to me and said, I've been growing this toenail for a long time, and it was quite manky, it was wrapped in a tissue. And so the headline on the News of the World was, "Would you send this man your toenail?"
When you were doing gigs and you were number one and you were playing live with Too Shy as a hit, did you ever catch the eye of anybody at the front of the crowd and give them a wink, and then they would come backstage and tell your people to talk to their people?
You mean sort of like flirt with people?
Yeah. Did you ever do that?
Did you?
No, I didn't have a number one.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's part of the fun.
Well, is it? Does it happen? Does it really go on?
Yes, of course.
Well, I'm really jealous.
Oh, you poor victim. No, it's such a thrill. I still don't understand why people take drugs, because I mean the best high is the real stuff, I think.
Here's Too Shy. It's 1983. Limahl is our guest, and he's adamantly gesticulating right now, which used to be illegal. Too Shy, and yet ironically he isn't. And that's why he's here today. Limahl from Kajagoogoo, Time Warp 1983. When the song became a hit, how did your life change, Limahl? It must have been pretty dramatic.
I remember when Kajagoogoo did a support tour, and on the tour we passed Wigan, and I said to the guys, please can we stop at stop by at my parents', and as the minibus pulled in on the estate outside of the house, my dad was doing something funny outside of the car, so everybody in the van was kind of falling about laughing. And
what was he doing?
he was just it was just one of those kind of typical
dad things,
yeah, exactly.
Doing a dad dance.
He was washing the car, actually.
Oh, wow.
He was doing something with the car, and he wasn't expecting me, and I wanted it to be a surprise. So he looked up, he looked really puzzled. Who are this bloody lot,
Yeah. These reprobates with long spiky hair.
Reprobates, that's a good word. I remember my mum said to me that after we became famous, she said some people stopped talking to her.
Really?
Isn't that weird?
Why?
Because there's no funnier than folk.
Oh yeah. Not so queer as folk. Yeah. There's a TV series in itself. But what made you leave the band? Do bands have rows? Did you join in the bands that do have rows? Because I know bands do have rows.
All I remember is when the band phoned me and said, it was the manager, he said, Limahl, we're here, we're having a meeting, and we've decided to carry on without you.
It sounds like a movie, doesn't it? Because you've seen this in so many movies.
Oh, God.
So what happened when you got that call?
Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
In real life. Well, I was completely shocked. My diary was full of anything and everything to do with Kajagoogoo for the next 12 months. And I just felt completely betrayed and initially upset and angry. In my memory, there was nothing that bad that was happening that required us to split up.
But you're all mates again now, or a couple of years ago you got back together, didn't you?
Yeah.
It's good. And there's a new album. Well, the best of Kajagoogoo and Limahl, isn't it? When did this one come out?
This came out at the same time as the reunion. What's nice about this is there's 2 brand new tracks, and there's also a brand new video that we did 2 years ago.
Shall we do another song from 1983?
Why not?
Why not? What are your memories of David Bowie's Let's Dance? I know there's some Aborigines in a bar in this video. I mean, did you meet David Bowie, or did you go to a bar with some Aborigines?
He was kind of my hero. He still is, you know. I don't remember the video, but what a great song.
Well, it's on for you now. Enjoy it, Limahl.
Yes.
And then we'll come back and chat with you more. Do you know what the Time Warp has given us? These are very 80s things. Would you, did you ever, would you?
Yeah. I turned up at the Kajagoogoo audition in a headband, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
I've got the picture, I think.
Yes.
There we go. Look at that one. Have a look at that on the screen. Wow.
Black and white, obviously, not this bright yellow thingy-mabob.
Go on, put that one on there. Go on.
Okay.
Look at you.
Do you flatten the fringe, or does it? Does it go over the ears?
I don't know. You decide.
Do you hide the eyebrows? I mean, help me here.
You're the fashion monster. Wham had this luck, didn't they, as well? They wore all this. Wham?
Yeah.
Sometimes, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was...
Went with a shuttlecock down the trousers, didn't it? That's the look, isn't it?
I thought that was Tom Jones.
No, that was George Michael and Andrew. 1983.
I would never do such a thing.
Well, you don't need a shuttlecock. Hold on. Let me just rephrase that. Because that could be said, like, if you're going to take the shuttle at Heathrow, you don't need the shuttlecock. There's so many ways to say that. We'll move on briefly.
Quickly.
How did you get to have your solo single in a movie?
EMI Records asked me to go to See how I've changed so much.
Take your time with this one, because it is a never-ending story.
EMI Records asked me to go to the Tokyo Music Festival in Japan, and when I got there, the producer, the music legend, Giorgio Moroder, was there, and at the time, my manager, Billy Gaff, who had previously managed Rod Stewart through his huge success, a real kind of entrepreneur, a real character, infamous really as a manager. His parties in London, I remember one of his parties, Britt Eklund running around going, "Billy darling, where are my pals? I've lost my pals." I think he sat down with Giorgio, unbeknown to me, and said, you know, Limahl's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. Giorgio still didn't just give me the gig. I got the tryout. I was kind of auditioned.
That's so weird to be being auditioned.
Yes, and I got it.
No, but
yes.
to be auditioning, then you feel like saying,
I know,
"Don't you know who I am?"
I did.
You didn't.
No, I felt like saying.
Oh, you
that.
didn't say it.
No, of course not.
We would have to have asked you to leave if you'd have said that.
But Giorgio was a legend. I was kind of, it's a bit like being an actor and getting a call from Steven Spielberg, to get the call from Giorgio Moroder's office.
Why does the song fade in at the start? That's weird. Songs fade out, but yours fades in. It's a DJ's nightmare when I'm mixing,
Why did Giorgio do that? I've often asked myself
really
that.
Quiet and then...
I don't, and it really caused problems at radio in America.
I know.
Because I did a 6-week promo tour of America, and we kept getting this feedback: the program directors don't like the fading intro. It was a nightmare.
I do agree.
Ideally, Giorgio, wherever you are, you should have put on a non-fading intro. No one's ever asked me that question, so top marks.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Another song from 83?
Yes.
On the time. What about Flashdance? What are your thoughts on that? What a feeling.
Giorgio is one of those rare producers that also has 3 Academy Awards for music to films. That's one of them. There was the was it late 70s? The movie about drugs in Turkey and the guy that went to
Midnight
prison.
Express.
Midnight Express. Then there was Top Gun, and then there was Flashdance. Those are the 3 Academy Awards.
Wow.
I don't think he got a Flashdance. I don't think he got a Flashdance. I don't think
You
he
have
got,
to pay for that these days.
I'm sure he does. I don't think he got Academy Award for Never Ending Story, but hey, you know, he had #1 all over the world, so you can't complain.
Good stuff. All right. So we will check out this song. It is Flashdance, What a Feeling. And Limahl is still with us. And he's never said, don't you know who I am? But I have said, don't you know who I was? Do you know you can't beat a singing welder? Flashdance, What a Feeling. That's what she was, wasn't she? She danced and she didn't really sing, did
Do
she?
you know, I have never seen the film.
You've never seen
I
Flashdance?
have
She was a welder.
Yeah.
And she danced really well, and she was a good dancer.
I've seen Jungle Book 25 times. I've seen Alien 55 times. What was the other one? It's a big Bond movie, Live and Let Die. I bunked off school the whole week, and we found a side door into the cinema in Wigan every afternoon. I was in there
Live and Let Die?
to see Live and Let Die every day for a week.
I've got some tweets here. Do you want to read the ones that we've hooped? These are people who've written in?
Okay, here we go. Sean Taylor?
Oh, of course.
Yes. Loving the vintage TV tonight. Forget X Factor, turn over now.
So hang on. So somebody chose vintage instead of X Factor? That's good.
That's brilliant.
Sean, good for you.
Laura, vintage TV is so good, playing all my favourite old school music.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's lovely.
We
Thank
love
you,
old
Laura.
school.
Now, before we go, let's discuss this Barnet, because, you know, who styled that? Who did that for you? And, shall I get them?
Well, we didn't have the luxury in those days of what they call style gurus, you know, that they would employ now for something like that. So we were just experimenting with clothes and hair.
Do you have a wig of your hair that you would take to shows and put on these days?
I do. I have a wig, but
Exclusive.
but I sometimes I do
Look, he looks
sort
a bit
of
shy. He looks too shy. Aye, hush, hush, hush.
sometimes.
Come on, do you?
Sometimes I do get it out.
Do you?
I was trying to rephrase that.
No, you whip it out. Where do you?
It's in the bottom drawer tucked away, but occasionally, you know, just for like really fun. I don't really want to, you know, do it all the time. Only for special occasions.
Well, it's been a pleasure to see you. We're just going to run some tour dates across the bottom of the screen for you now of current gigs that are on over the UK. But you, ironically, are not performing at the moment live, are you? So you've really just turned up here just for the love of...
Just to see you.
That's what we wanted to hear.
I'm planning to write my biography, although there's no point because I've told you everything today. No, there's loads of stuff I haven't told you.
You haven't told us everything.
And, you know, the video directors that I've slept with and the...
And the ones you stayed awake with.
and the ones I didn't.
Tell us what it's like when you're performing in other countries. Is it very different to performing in the UK? Do you have to adapt? Do you ever speak the different languages? Did you learn different languages from touring all over the world? Do you go back to Norway, for example, and say, "Jag ska där, tusen tack, varsågod"?
Sí, cuando en España.
That's really useful in Norway. Bit of Spanish.
I think, you know, you have to make the effort. I've been doing a lot of work in Poland, and it is such a tough language.
Well, Poland must be so hard to do gigs. They're all over here. You shouldn't have bothered. You've done it here.
You know, we were hugely popular in Poland because it was in 1983 there was a military rule, and they weren't really allowed to listen to Western music. So we were their sort of, is it called secret pleasure, guilty pleasure, as it were.
Guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
It's been great to see you again. Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your memories of 1983. And it's
you.
all been about you.
We'll see you in 2013.
Absolutely. 1983. Hope you enjoyed the Time Warp. Bye for